Hi, I'm Jackie Tantillo, and this is Should Have Listened to My Mother.
You help me stand when I start to fall. You've always been here through it all. When time gets tough, you won't let me quit. You reassure when I'm needing it. Don't think for a single second I forgot that you're the best gift that I've ever got from God. I love you, Mom.
I just love that song. I can't tell you how many times I've been playing I Love You, Mom by Jackson Nance. But before I introduce you to Jackson, when I was 12 or 13 years old, I was in a very different place than my guest was at that age. I was having a ton of fun. I was free. I was going to school, hanging with my family and friends, spent summers on the water, sailing and fishing and crabbing, and I worked odd jobs, definitely cleaned a lot of houses, and I curled my grandmother's hair. Probably not very well. However, when my guest was that same age, he was writing and singing songs and playing the guitar. Jackson always seemed to be in the right place at the right time and garnered attention from top-tier musicians and performers. So now at 22, he's released his debut single, I Love You, Mom, which you were just hearing, and he's joining us from Tennessee. Jackson Nance, it's so nice to have you with us on Should Have Listened to My Mother.
Miss Jackie, it's good to be here. And hey, don't be selling yourself short like that. You're a boss too.
I'm not selling myself short. You, at such a young age, are your parents musicians? Do you have music in your family background?
So my mom's grandfather, who passed before I was born, he was a guitar player, and he used to go to the church, or he used to go to school every day before everyone else to go to the band room and tune all the instruments because he was the only one that could do it. So that's, my mom can sing, but as far as real musicality, he's the only one I can think of.
Oh, too bad you didn't get to. Well, he's channeling you now, right?
That's what I'd like to think. I'd like to think that for sure.
What is your mom's name?
Selena with a C.
Oh, that is so beautiful. And
yes,
and
ma'am.
There's a very touching story behind how you wrote this. But her birthday is November
6th. Yes, ma'am.
How about you just tell us a little bit about the song and we'll kind of intermingle getting to know your mom through this little story.
For sure. So check it out. So basically, one thing that you should know and you guys should know is birthdays, holidays, that stuff is huge at my house. You know, it's a big deal in my family. And if you can't afford to get a gift, you get a card and you write something sweet in it, right? Mm-hmm. And so I was down in Orange Beach, Alabama, playing like 5 shows in a row during the time of like November 3rd to November 6th or 7th. And my mom's birthday is the 6th. And my dad got my mom tickets to Seattle to see the Eagles. So she was out of town and I was out of town. You know, we couldn't be together on her birthday. And so for whatever reason, whenever I get home, you know, and she's home, it's like the 7th or 8th. I just automatically assumed that since, you know, I was not with her or around her on her birthday, I didn't have to get her anything. And like an idiot, I did not. I didn't even get her a card. I didn't even get her a card, Jackie.
You'll never forget again, right?
I'll never forget again. Never forget again. So basically, we're all sitting in the living room on like November 8th, 7th or 8th. And we're having a good time. It's me and my girlfriend on the couch. My mom's opposite of us and dad's to the right. And we're all hanging out, laughing and talking. And dad, you know, he texts me without anyone realizing it, you know, while we're all sitting there talking. He's like, wow, you should be ashamed of yourself. You know, the fact you didn't get your mom a gift or even a card. And I was like, dang it. I was like, yeah. And so I immediately was like, hey, excuse me, y'all. And I went back to the back room and I got out my guitar and just freaking wrote the song, man. Like, it's never happened that way before, but I basically sat on my bed and I was like, all right, I didn't get a gift, so now I got to really pull something together. You know what I mean? I got to like really get this. I got to really nail this. Not only do I have to nail it, but I've always avoided writing songs for my parents or my brother or anything like that, because them being so special to me, it's like you can't write a crappy song for a family member like that. Like, it has to be great. And so I was kind of forced into this, but I'd say it ended up going pretty well. I came out like 30 minutes later back into the living room, and I basically came clean. I was like, Mom, I forgot to get you a card and a gift, but I just went back there and wrote this song. And I played the first verse, started the song, and I was, reading it from my phone, obviously. And she starts tearing up. I start tearing up. I had to start over. She started tearing up again. That now everybody's tearing up. Dad's left the room because he's not going to listen to it because he's not trying to cry. And then the third time I was able to get through it, and she loved it. So it was a good little win for me.
Not cool. Only now, for you, for your mom, but for all of us that get to hear it and share it.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm so glad people like it, because I was due to be in the studio the next month, and I actually was not going to record that song. And I played it for my producer, and he was like, dude, you have to record this song. I was like, really? Because, it's like vulnerable, because it's about my mom and all this stuff. So, but it's cool. I'm glad people like it, and I'm glad you like it as well.
Oh my gosh, we all have moms, and you dedicated it to mothers out there everywhere, right? I mean, it's so touching. And now stake, you really raise the stake for our kids, though, because
well, see, what you don't realize is I messed it up for me
yourself.
Too. What am I gonna do on Mother's Day? Now my girlfriend's expecting an incredible song, which I'm working on, but it doesn't come that easy.
Well, if you're honest from the heart, as you've been so far, it will come, right? It's hard.
I appreciate
when
that.
The pressure's on to create anything, it just makes it that much harder.
Well, and I'll tell you this too, which I'm totally in agreement with what you just said. So I'm a big Beatles fan, and one thing about Paul McCartney, he's like one of my heroes. It's like he's written some of the best songs, that have ever been released, and they're all really, a lot of them are really simple, but simplicity is like the hardest thing to do, because it's easy to overthink stuff,
And he had music. That's all his brain. That's all he must see, sense, and feel are musical notes. I mean, 24/7. I imagine he's so talented.
Oh, I bet. And it goes to show that no one ever got anywhere overthinking. So.
Yeah. So tell me, your mom, like, was it homework before music in your house, or was it Jackson can go do whatever he wants?
So pretty cool story. So I'll start from the beginning. Okay. So I'm from Laurel, Mississippi. I've said Hattiesburg before, but due to the success of the HGTV network, people now know what Laurel is, which I didn't realize. But I'm from Laurel, Mississippi. And I grew up down there till I was 8. My whole family's from down there. And, typical like athletic family, doing sports from the time I'm like 4 years old or whatever. Then, we move up here in 2008. Well, I somehow or another get interested in music. I start going around to like Dan McGinnis, BB King's, different places in Nashville as like a 10-year-old, playing on the patios because I can't get in the bars. And then when I was 12, so I'm attending school during all this, right? So I went to school up until the middle of the 5th grade. Then I came home from school and I told my parents that I was ready to get serious about music and I wanted to do online school. And either they were crazy or they were amazing. And I think it's the latter. I think they were super amazing. They sat down and talked to my principal, and she was like, honestly, I think, Jackson's already missed so many days that, due to traveling and stuff. And also I think Taylor Swift went to that school, and she was like, Taylor did the same thing. So that was a cool little notch on the belt. That was a cool thing to hear. But, so she was basically like, yeah, I think Jackson's social enough to where it won't hurt him. And so I started doing online school when I was 12. I got a guitar when I was 12, and I also started writing songs when I was 12. And from that point on, for the next like 3 or 4 years, I played guitar like 8 hours a day and just wrote, as much as I could, which most of the songs were crappy, but I would sit down, and I don't condone this to any people in school listening to this, but it's all online school. So I would, and my mom was not supporting this. She didn't know this at the time, but I can talk about it freely. I would look up the answers and do like 3 weeks in a day.
Oh my God.
And then for the next
my
3 weeks, I would just play guitar and just sit at my monitor and, like kind of act like I was really immersed in my school.
What would we do without Google?
Oh, that's what I'm saying, right?
Yeah. Well, it seems so far so good, I'd say,
Oh, absolutely. I think so.
So what, you have a sibling? You mentioned a brother. Do you have a brother?
Yes, ma'am, I do. So he's 6 years older than me, and he was like the athlete of the two of us. I guess, my mom and dad are really, athletic and talented as far as that goes. But he was the one that really, kind of carried that through. Like he was like the fastest kid to ever go to his high school. Like he ran like a 4.39. He was 40-yard dash. Like he was super fast. He was super good at stuff. And meanwhile, I'm over here sitting on the couch playing guitar. But he's super supportive of me too, which is cool, which I definitely appreciate, because it's like we used to be at the ball field all the time. Like even though I stopped playing baseball at like 8 years old, I pretty much grew up at the ballpark watching him.
Mm-hmm.
So it's cool. And he's married now, and he's killing it. He's got a great job, and he's just got a house about a year ago. So I'm proud of him.
And what is his name?
His name is Madison.
Mattis.
Madison.
Well, it's really nice to have the family support, right? I mean,
yeah.
Was it dinners together all the time? Every night you ate dinner together, or were you guys all over the place? Sports makes it complicated, but.
So on nights like that, it's like just hitting Sonic or something. But I remember, especially when, we were all at the house, like we would definitely try and eat dinner every night, especially on Sundays, like Sunday's family day, And so, like we were the type of family that, like, without sounding weird, I would go to my friends' houses growing up and see that their family dynamic was so different. Like I realized how blessed I am, because my family's really close, from being around other families, which I'm sure there's a lot of great families out there, but it really put into perspective how blessed I am to have the family I do.
Yeah, it really and it's interesting because most kids, they don't, they're just hanging out. They like playing with the other kids' games or toys or whatever, right? The distraction stuff. But when you see the core of the differences, right? It's for sure amazing. It's really remarkable how young kids pick stuff up, and they become appreciative, hopefully appreciative of what they have.
It is. And my parents, my dad in particular, has always been like straight shooter, pretty like low tolerance for BS and things like that, which there were times growing up where I thought, he was being too tough on us or anything like that. But now, a lot of the qualities people point out in my brother and I are qualities we would not have without him being hard on us. So I think it's great to like hold your kids to a high standard for sure, Yeah.
So was it good cop, bad cop? Your dad was the tough one and your mom was your mom?
Well, it was a little bit of that, but but listen, it was also this. There'd be times, I get in trouble and she'd be like, all right, wait, when your dad gets home, he's going to handle it. And come to find out years later, he'd be like, I didn't want to handle it. Y'all didn't do anything to me, but I had to, So dad, like me and dad, like when I turned like 13, we've always hung out, but as I've gotten older, it's like, he'll smack me on the head if I'm doing something wrong. Not actually, but he'll like put me back in line. But he's, we have a great relationship. We're like friends. He's like my guide, if you know
That's
what I'm
great.
saying.
Absolutely.
So I talk to him. So me and my brother always say, if we're like emotional and all this stuff, we talk to mom, because we don't talk to dad, because dad will be like, hey, it's in your head. You just got to work through it. Mom will rub your back and be like, oh, baby, and all, the mom stuff. Whereas dad's like, you ain't going to get nothing done sitting there doing that. You know what I mean?
Feeling sorry for yourself.
Yeah. So we know who to talk to, But if I ever need anything at all, he's the guy.
Right. Did your mom work?
No, ma'am. So for the first time, when my brother was born in 93, and I think she had worked before that, but since like her dream's always been to be a mom, which is actually kind of cool that this song is the first song I have, because she's like always said that she, like, her whole purpose and dream in life was to be a mom and have a family, which is cool. So for the first time in, I think, like, probably maybe 25 years, 26 years, her and my dad have a real estate team. So she, she's like a real sweet person. So she like sends, a lot of houses to the clients, things like that. She like makes them food, does all this stuff, like develops relationships with them, and shows like she really cares about them. That's why people love working with them, because, they're just really good about that stuff. Like, like showing interest beyond just making money, like getting invested in people,
Wow, that's pretty great. What kind of food will she cook? Do you have a favorite dish that she makes?
Oh, man. So this is a little nod to you up in Jersey. So I love eggplant, but she makes it like, so she fries it, like the Italian style, all that stuff. But she like makes it super crispy, which is cool. I like that. I like, honestly, she makes great Southern food, like fried chicken too, because there's that whole thing. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. And listen, I'm not like a vegetarian or anything, but she makes vegetarian lasagna, which I actually really like, even more so than regular lasagna. So she's doing something right.
That's great. Yeah. Now, is she from Mississippi originally? Both
yes,
your parents?
Ma'am. Yes, ma'am. They both are.
And why did you guys move to Tennessee? For your music? No.
No, ma'am. So it's weird how it all worked out. It seems like it was for that, but so like the whole recession in 2008, the economy. Yeah. Dad was working with a company, and obviously, they got hit pretty hard with that, and so he took a job up here. I'm pretty sure that's like kind of the events that moved us here.
When you close your eyes and you think of your mom, what do you see, sense, and feel? Can you describe her and what you feel when you picture your mom?
Well, I can't say that this is an original idea, because my brother came up with this, but he's always said to me that mom's the closest thing to an angel out of anyone he's ever met. And I definitely agree with that. She's definitely someone that has always supported me in whatever I'm doing, like 100%, which I look around and, I look at some of the things that I've done, whether it be signing with Warner or whatever. And obviously that stuff takes hard work, but beyond anything, I think that anyone that's able to have success in an industry like this, there's exceptions, but I feel like you have to have a good family support. And I mean, as far as, I could be a lot better musically as a writer, as a singer, but one thing I think I'm pretty lucked out on is my family, and, my mom's support and my dad's support. I think I've pretty much got all of that I need. And so I'm very grateful for that.
It's definitely a tough industry, and people pull you in all different directions. So if you have that brass ring, I think you're going to be okay, because it can be overwhelming, right? For
sure. And I think that's what's important, especially about having a good family, is, you see people, have their like wild, when they achieve the dream they've been chasing, and they, get the money or the fame or whatever, they kind of like freak out and spin around, and do a bunch of crazy stuff. I feel like if you already have a solid foundation, I feel like that's not as bound to happen.
Good for you. Got to keep your feet on the ground, right?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
That's great. So,
For sure.
Jackson Nance is my guest, and you are the youngest ever to get a publishing deal with Warner, correct?
Something like that. Yes, ma'am. I was so
Like,
weird. I never know what to say.
I shouldn't even have brought that up. We were just talking about being grounded.
No, yeah. I just never know what to say because I don't want to be like, sure was, I don't know what to say.
But
yes,
they've given you this golden opportunity to work with some of the best writers in Tennessee, correct? In Nashville?
Oh, gosh, yeah.
So this is like your English course, your college class level.
Well, I'll tell you this. So Scott Hendricks or Ben Vaughn, any of them. So I met Scott Hendricks, who was the vice president of Warner, when I was 13, and he started mentoring me. And then when I was 15, so the press release, all right, I'll get technical. So the press release says 16, but I actually signed when I was 15. So the way it worked was, so he was my mentor from the time I was 13, and then when I was 15, I signed a publishing deal / artist development deal. So basically I had a meeting with him at 15, and he was like, all right, we need to get you a publishing deal. So he walked me downstairs to Ben Vaughn's office, who at the time was not the president of Warner Chappell, but is now. And I sat there and entertained Ben and the whole staff of Warner Chappell for probably 3 hours. And I'd played, maybe the 5 songs I'd written plus another maybe 10 or 15 songs I didn't, like old Motown songs and blues and stuff like that. And after, the negotiation process and all that super fun stuff, we were able to get something solidified. And so it was a publishing deal with Warner Chappell as well as an artist development deal with Warner Records.
That's pretty impressive. That's very impressive. I mean, all the years I've worked in radio, I got to know all the music reps and know all the backstories of how tough this industry can be. So this is really an incredible opportunity for you, and
absolutely.
I just think it's the best. So there's one I love this video. It was on YouTube, and you were playing with Tim Pierce at Norman's
there's a story
Rare
behind
Guitars.
That. There's a story behind that.
Go ahead.
So can I tell you the story really fast?
Please.
Okay, so I'm out. So I've worked in LA like quite a lot. Like at one point it was pretty much halftime there. So I was so listen, the thing you got to know about Dad's a business guy, right? Dad is always, he's told me, he's like, there's no such thing as luck. It's, if you're prepared, when the opportunity hits, that, that's it's productivity creates opportunity basically. And so I'm out there in LA and I'm like bugging the crap out of them. Like, I want to go to Norman's Rare Guitars. Please, can we go? Cause I see the YouTube videos and all that stuff. Well, I walk in and, they do the little video series and stuff like that. They were filming someone when we walked in. That's kind of how we knew that. And Dad says, Jackson, start singing. I was like, why? He said, start singing, and I promise you they'll stop everything and do a video. And I was like, Dad, I'm not trying to do that. I'm just trying to look at guitars. And sure enough, he taught me into it. I just started singing, and Norm walked out and said, hold on a minute, and made everybody stop playing. And we ended up filming like 6 videos after that. So so wow. he went and got Tim and was like, listen, man, you and this kid y'all need to do some videos together. So I met him that day, and it was cool because, I've had the privilege of meeting a lot of great session musicians over the years, everyone from 80 years old to 25 years old, like guys that were had in the industry back in the 70s, 80s, 90s. So it was cool meeting someone like that who has been around through that time, because I was able to connect with them with relationships that we both shared.
Very, but it's been known that you happen to be in the right place at the right time. So I've read, right?
Oh, well, listen to this. So the whole Scott thing, like me getting signed with Warner. So check this out. Okay, so there's a little open mic. It's a little venue in Leapers Fork, Tennessee, about 15 minutes from Franklin, Tennessee, called Puckett's. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
So when I was 12, I lived in Gallatin, Tennessee, which is about 30 minutes north of Nashville, about an hour away from Leapers Fork, where the open mic is. And somebody that I was working with at the time, I was like 12, okay? Somebody that I was working with at the time told me and my family about this open mic, and that it'd be good for me to get some live experience, more live experience, and play there. Mind you, I'd been playing guitar probably a month and a half at this point. So I'd written, I think, 1 or 2 songs. One of them was about getting sand in my crack. So that shows you where I was. But anyway. So we drive down to this place for the first time ever, and I play this open mic. It just so happens that the son of the founder of Healthcare Centers of America lives in that town, and one of his buddies was there watching. And he calls this guy named Aubrey Preston. Aubrey helped Hayley Williams from Paramore, Kesha. He's friends with Justin Timberlake, introduced me to Scott Hendricks, all these people, right? Friends with Waylon's band, or the guys that are still here. But so he saw me play the first night I was there. I met him. The first time I ever played at this place, and he's what ultimately got me my deal at Warner and bought me like 7 guitars and, just introduced me to all these people. It was from one show, an hour away from where I lived, one open mic at 12. That's what started. And the doors
flooded open.
That's what started it, man. That's why I'm such a believer in, that's why I say I'm blessed. I'm definitely blessed, because there's a lot of really talented people. I almost think that talent is not the baseline, really. It's more than that. It's about what opportunities are you willing to track down. You have to make yourself available.
You do, but it depends on who your core and how you interact with people. And if, because when you meet somebody and you're turned off or you get a bad vibe right away, then it's like, okay, yes, nice to meet you. See you later. Bye. But you've definitely got serendipity and good karma and great energy, and you just keep going forward, and you always help someone. You always help pay back a little bit too, right?
Absolutely. For sure. Yeah. For sure. And I appreciate you saying those things too.
Oh, it's very important. But you're going to do great, Jackson Nance. I want to thank you so much.
Well, hey, we got to do this again, though.
I want to share your music and all that kind of stuff. Oh, good. We got to come see you perform. That would be really fun. Or New York. Awesome. That would be really wonderful. Jackson Nance. Your music is available for downloads and streaming on all digital platforms. I Love You, Mom is his debut single. I thank you for joining us on Should Have Listened to My Mother. And say hi to your mom.
Oh, I absolutely will. I hope you have a great day, okay?
You too.
You help me stand when I start to fall. You've always been here through it all. When time gets tough, you won't let me quit. You reassure when I'm needing it. Don't think for a single second I forgot that you're the best gift that I've ever got from God. I love you.